the most anticipated battle in the history of professional science communication, the FameLab National Finals 2019. Science fans, are you ready? For the hundreds in attendance and the millions wishing they were here from the capital city of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Singlet.
And without further ado, put your hands together for our host this evening. She is the last year's World Science Communicator Champion, World Champion, Dr. Siti Khairia.
Hey everyone, welcome. What a great turnout in a wonderful venue. Thank you so much for battling Friday traffic to be here with us for another year of FameLab Malaysia. Thank you to British Council Malaysia as well as MITE for having me back. And it feels like it was just last year when I was trying to battle it out.
Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a moment?
I guess you look kind of familiar.
Yeah, you do too. Were you on TV3?
Asrawani.
Oh yeah, with that Kamarul Barin. By the way, I was the first to be interviewed.
Back in 2016. You need to give it up. Had about enough. It's not hard to see. The crown is mine. I'm sorry that you seem to be confused. It belongs to me. The crown is mine.
Not yours.
But mine.
Not yours.
But mine.
Not yours.
Professor Abi Bayrakuramasibab, our FameLab Malaysia International 2016 champion, here with us today.
Thank you, Kai, and welcome everyone
to
the
FameLab
Malaysia 2019 Finals.
Started in 2005 by the Cheltenham Science Festival, FameLab is the biggest science communication competition in the world.
And we are indeed so lucky today to have many VIPs, but of course this is Malaysia Baru, so everybody is a VIP, everybody is an expert, and that's why we are here to celebrate experts. But having said that, some are perhaps more VIP than the others, so I'm obliged to still say. First of all, thank you so much, YB Datuk Wira, Dr. Muhammad Farid, Muhammad Rafiq, the Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Mr. David Thomas, the Deputy High Commissioner of the British High Commission, Kuala Lumpur, my dear mentor, Tan Sri Dr. Engineer Ahmad Tajuddin Ali, Joint Chairman of MITE, and also Ms. Sarah Deverell, the Director Malaysia for British Council Malaysia, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Sulaiman, our great champion of FameLab, President and CEO of MITE. He didn't quite win the competition, but we are here because of his championship here. And of course, my dear, lovely Professor Dr. Raha Abdul Rahim, Minister of Education. And in fact, I was just telling Kai backstage just now that Prof. Raha was also my first semester lecturer at University Putra Malaysia. And she not only taught me about the beauty of genetic engineering, but she also told me how to use bacteria to make beer.
Wow, was that back in the 50s?
Ha ha ha. All right, ouch. You're also insulting our VIP, by the way. All right. So anyway, through this strategic partnership with the British Council since 2007, FameLab has grown into a global phenomenon, receiving over 22 million views annually with over 7,000 participants competing at various national competitions around the world. And Malaysia has been competing in this competition since 2015.
And the competition in Malaysia is brought to you by MITE, the Malaysia Industry Government Group for High Technology, together with British Council Malaysia. The 12 Malaysian finalists were selected from the North, South, and Central regional heats. They then received a 2-day masterclass training by the world-class science communicator, Mr. Hugh James from the United Kingdom.
And the winner of this competition today will represent Malaysia at the FameLab International Finals, which will be held at the Times Cheltenham Science Festival this June. Competing against champions from 30 other countries, and based on recent statistics, he or she, whoever wins tonight, has a 50% chance of winning the competition.
No pressure.
Absolutely.
The format of the competition involves participants engaging and entertaining audiences by breaking down and demystifying complex science, technology, and engineering concepts, sharing latest discoveries, and celebrating science in under 3 minutes.
Participants are not allowed to use any PowerPoint-like presentations, and they have to rely purely on the creative use of language and props, the clarity of their thought process, and of course, the charismatic appeal to engage and excite you. Upon completion of their presentation, the participants will then be quizzed by the esteemed panel of judges who you will surely know very soon.
First up, we have Dr. Liz Alexander, our FameLab family
Woohoo!
consulting
Please come on
futurist
stage,
and
yeah.
co-founder. Please come up to the stage. Co-founder of Leading Thought. Dr. Liz's career has spanned stints at the BBC TV and radio in the UK and many years as a freelance journalist on both sides of the Atlantic. She's authored 22 non-fiction books, has a PhD in educational psychology. She's adjudicated FameLab Malaysia 2018, the 2019 FameLab Regional Heats, and she is back tonight to apply some reverse psychology on our contenders.
Next, we have the darling of Malaysia's newsroom, the pulse of our nation's conscience, as well as the Simon Cowell of FameLab Malaysia, the fabulous and the one and only Deputy Editor-in-Chief of Astro Awani, Mr. Kamarul Bahrain. Woo!
Next we have Professor Deborah Hall, who is the Vice Provost for Research and Knowledge Exchange at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. While most of her time is based at the Malaysia campus, she also divides her time supporting her measures for clinical trials research team in the UK and at the NIHR Nottingham Biomedical Research Centre. She was awarded the British Society of Audiology Thomas Simulator Prize in 2010 for her services to audiology and the Tondorf Lecture Prize in 2017 for her services to tinnitus research. And I was going to say, let's hear it for Professor Deborah Hall.
Well, there's no harm in hearing again. Professor Deborah Hall, fabulous. And in fact, it's the first time at the panel today, so really exciting. All right, and of course now, finally, but certainly not our least, is our 2017 FameLab Malaysia champion, who is currently the director of the Student Development Division of the Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education Malaysia, the fabulous Dr. Zaid Omar. Hi. Isn't it interesting that even if you don't win, you can judge? Sorry, Zaid. Yeah.
All right. Judges ready?
Yeah, and you know what? They'll probably realize very soon that I'm only good for 3 minutes, so I'm going to leave the stage.
All right.
Yeah.
I will be right behind you. But first up, we have our 21-year-old computer science student who is in her 3rd year at Asia Pacific University. She loves solving problems, playing games, and keeping up to date with current technologies. So it's not so surprising her typing speed is an impressive 100 words per minute. Mine's only 79, but according to livechat.com, that still makes me an octopus. So I wonder, what does that make Sarah? Let's find out. Put your hands together for Sarah, probably not Nonapus, Adam.
I was
Testing. 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 Test. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing.
The problem. Let's give her a round of applause. She must be so nervous, and I'm really sorry. All right. Judges, give us some bonus marks, all right? Okay. Can we let you leave the stage for a while? All right. I think you should just recollect yourself and just, ease. Why don't you try and test it out? In the meantime, all right, can we have the fabulous Sarah Deverell to provide us with some welcome remarks? Let's put you on the spot for once, right? Can we have the mic for Sarah Deverell, please?
Thank you so much, and I promise I will not sing, I will not make jokes about the wonderful Dr. Zayed. I'll say something quite serious. It's my little opportunity here to say a very, very warm welcome to you all, and to thank Yang Berhormat, Datuk Wira Dr. Muhammad Farid bin Muhammad Rafiq, Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, for joining us this evening, and Mr. Dave Thomas, our Deputy High Commissioner from the British High Commission, Kuala Lumpur, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dr. Ahmed Tajuddin Ali, an old friend of FameLab, and very good to see you here again. Our wonderful friend, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Sulaiman. I think this is my 4th year of collaborating with you from MITE to bring FameLab to Malaysia. And our wonderful friend, Professor Dr. Raha Binti Abdul Rahim from the Ministry of Education. Wonderful to have you with us again this evening. So distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, let me add my words of personal welcome to Malaysia FameLab Final 2019.
Woohoo!
Now, Dr. Abi kindly gave you a lot of the history of FameLab in Malaysia, but for those of you who were not listening to him the first time around, I'll remind you that FameLab actually started in 2005 with the Cheltenham Science Festival in the UK. And it's grown since then globally with the British Council since 2007. And I have great pleasure in correcting one of the misfacts that Dr. Abi shared with you, that it has involved 7,000 participants to date. Actually, it's been 10,000 participants since we started FameLab some time ago. Okay, so you can add that to your notes for next time, yes. In Malaysia, we've been running FameLab since 2015 in partnership with the wonderful MITE, Malaysian Industry, High Industry Group for Technology. And this is the 5th competition, but for me personally, this is the 4th time I've witnessed a Malaysia competition. And what is incredible is that Malaysia is the only country in the whole world to have produced 2 global international finalists. So that was our wonderful Professor Dr. Abhimanyu Veerakumara Sivam, and I've been practicing his name for several years now, our 2016 winner, and Dr. Siti Karya Muhammad Hanafia, or Dr. Kai, our winner from last year. And as you can see, because we're all a science community here, we're heavily into recycling. So we decided to recycle our world champions from 2016, 2018 into MCs for this evening. Give them a round of applause, please. Now, just to say a couple of things about FameLab, that it provides some things that you might not subtly notice this evening, but one thing is skills development, fantastic skills development for the art of communicating well in science. It also provides a cultural relations opportunity because it helps people to connect across the globe, across networks, to make friends with other scientists and understand about other parts of the world. it also really supports public engagement and support because it makes science concepts understandable to a non-scientific audience, which is hugely important. And it also gives an opportunity for us to share some UK expertise because we think we have quite a lot of experience in this particular field. Of course, science communication is incredibly important for making concepts accessible to that non-scientific community so that we can justify public spending. And here's a message for the government. So when we're spending money on very important scientific pieces of research, it's good that we can communicate them and make them understandable. Now, how is it linked to the UK? We like to think that the UK is a bit of a world leader in the area of science communication. And if we think back, we've got some old favourite examples that have been in existence in the UK for my whole life. And one of them is the same age as, well, next week he will become the same age as your current Prime Minister in Malaysia, and that is Sir David Attenborough, who's one of the oldest science communicators in the UK. And another one is about 10 years younger, but she's also quite famous, you know, Dame Jane Goodall, who became famous for her work with chimpanzees some time ago in Tanzania. So these are some very famous examples of fantastic science communicators in the UK, of whom we're very proud. And there's a lot of more recent ones who continue to inspire the younger generations. As for the British Council, we're involved in FameLab because we are the UK's international organisation for cultural relations and educational opportunities. And we see FameLab as a wonderful, wonderful way, talking science with other scientists to connect through cultural relations. Now, as Abby and Kai have already informed you, the winner of this evening's performance will go on to the UK on the 5th and 6th of June. Make sure you're watching Twitter and other forms of communication because that will be the international heats and finals. And last year I caught a plane from Heathrow on the evening of the 6th, I think, and the finals were just starting. I landed in KL, turned on my iPhone, and I could not believe it. Another global champion from Malaysia. It made my day. Thank you, Dr. Kai. Okay, I'll stop there, but just to say a huge thanks again to our wonderful partners, MITE Malaysia, to our supporting partners, the Department of Higher Education from the Ministry of Education Malaysia, also to Euraxis ASEAN, who unfortunately were not able to be here this evening, but who have generously provided a prize for the winner to visit some of the labs across Europe. Also, our wonderful judges over here, our final and regional heats judges, our special judges, Dr. Zayed, Dr. Liz, Prof. Dev, and obviously Caramel, I never get his name right, Camurul
Simon.
From Astro. Yeah? It's wonderful to have you here. And as I said last year, Dr. Liz is actually a futurist, which probably means she already knows who's won the competition. But thank you for going through the steps with us anyway. Your lips are sealed, yeah. And also thank you to the Malaysian Science Communication Network and all of our FameLab Malaysia alumni. Without your support, we couldn't do what we're doing. And I hope someone will tell you more about the Malaysian Communication Network, which has just started this year. So to all of you who've contributed in one way or another to FameLab Malaysia, thank you, and I hope you enjoy a fabulous evening, and congratulations to the winner when it happens.
Indeed.
But everybody for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. Next up, can I actually have Dr. Yusuf Sulaiman? MITE has been an amazing champion, not only providing us all these amazing opportunities. Let's give a round of applause to Dr. Yusuf Sulaiman to give his welcoming remarks.
Hello, everybody. Assalamualaikum and a good evening. There's not much for me to add to what Sarah and both MC have spoken. It has been a great, thrilling, exciting 5 years of FameLab. And there's so many people to thank, but I also like to think that we're going to have a more exciting 5 years or 10 years ahead. And I know there are a lot of corporate figures with us this evening, so I hope that you can actually, experience this interesting event and then decide that you may want to help to sponsor this event in the future so that we can make it bigger and bigger. Please give a round of applause to our corporate personalities today. Well, Abi, Dr. Kai, so I wish you all a very good evening and a very exciting FameLab number 5. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much. That's a perfect example of a 3-minute speech. Perfect. You knew exactly what you wanted, more money. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, carry on.
And let's just do this again and pretend my bad joke actually worked. Let's put your hands together for Sarah. Probably not. Get it? Nona Puss. No, you don't get it. Ada. Woo! Too high level.
Very for two reasons. It is too soft and the noises are too overwhelming. These are the same reasons that's
1, 2, 3. Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Businessmen congregate in an office, exchanging handshakes to seal the deal. The last exam of a semester, exchanging high fives as a way of saying we've made it. We establish connection through touch, and this sweet psychological action has a similar counterpart in technology. Today, I'm going to share with you an active device and a passive device that play roles in a special kind of connection. Let me explain. What if I tell you that the act of two devices high-fiving each other will enable you to pay for your groceries or even turn on your lights? This, ladies and gentlemen, is the simple, short-range and wireless technology of near-field communication, NFC for short. This technology was given birth at the beginning of the millennium, specifically 2002. You only need two things: your phone and this, an NFC tag. It's very cheap, mind you. Make a touch connection and bam, what you want is what you get. But this means you have to teach your NFC tag what to do. Let's get a bit more technical here now, shall we? Using an app on your phone, simply pick any task you would like it to execute and store it into the NFC tag. By just doing this, you're good to go, making simple tasks turn even simpler. Think of it as winding up a toy soldier and setting it on a table for it to wander away from you without you even touching it. You don't have to manually do anything on your own. It is with this very innovation that enables your phone's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth on or off at just an average of 0.1 seconds. NFC operates at a frequency of 13.56 MHz frequency, and all you have to do is to make sure that the two devices that you use have to be at a distance of 5 cm or less. Or even better, tap, a spark, a connection. It even comes in the form of a ring, which can enable you to enter a room through a knock on an NFC-enabled door. You'll walk into your office without a key or a card. This technology can definitely bring convenience into your life. Similar to moving on from CDs to Bluetooth when playing music in your car, we can change from configurations and settings to NFC. Less thumb effort. Don't you see what happens when we tap into current technologies? Not only does it make you more tech-savvy, but it also gives you a chance to pave the way for a more modern and creative world. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you know and get on your phones and try NFC today so that this unknowing gem does not become a lost treasure of tomorrow. Thank you.
Sarah, I'm just so glad that when I got married, NFC wasn't there. Otherwise, my wife would have definitely chosen NFC over me. All right, judges, great.
Hi, long time no see. It was great. No, I can't.
Can we put the microphone on? It's on? Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I think you set a very high standard for the evening, so
Oh.
thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Now, you mentioned the word once, convenience. What I want to know is, what are we risking or sacrificing in exchange for convenience when it comes to NFC communication? And how can you persuade a privacy and security freak like me that it's a good thing?
Yeah, I love that question. Thank you so much. Security is actually one of my passions when it comes to technology. In regards to your question, when it comes to technology, there are a lot of concerns when it comes to this part of like products. Security is a big thing. Privacy will always be an issue when it comes to technology, definitely. So when we come to this issue, let's think about it this way. We know that we can get hacked by emails, right? And we can hack by using our laptops, right? But we still use it. That's number one. We'll still use technology because it brings convenience. Humans normally choose convenience over the lack of convenience. So how can I persuade somebody to use technology like NFC? Convenience. But then again, just imagine yourself wanting to increase your life. If you love efficiency like me, you would want to enter your car and instead of, like if you're in a rush, instead of getting on your phone and enabling your GPS, just put it on a tag and it'll do for you while you start your engine. Or when you want to wake up and you're a deep sleeper, you can put an NFC tag on your bathroom mirror, and when your alarm goes on, you have to stand up and run to the bathroom and off it with that NFC tag. It makes your life more efficient, and I think efficient and convenience is a very important aspect of life. Yeah. We have to focus on this kind of things so that we can focus on other more things like education and food and spending time with your family. Yeah, right? Thank you. Yeah.
All right, sorry, Zaid. She's smart. She knew you were going to ask a question, so she decided to continue answering it. And I think we were also convinced by it. But we have 11 other participants, and it's going to be a long night, but exciting night. But I'm sure you're going to have discussion later on anyway. All right, so Sarah, let's give a huge, huge round of applause. Never easy to start a competition, and amazing. All right, and it's all about being convenient. All right, now, so our second finalist is an undergraduate reading physics at the University of Malaya. Growing up in a small town called Muar, he spent most time lying on bed reading about dinosaurs, but he soon found himself channeling all his teenage angst and became Johor's Wushu, which is a type of Chinese martial art sparring champion. So ladies and gentlemen, fierce like a kung fu master and smooth like a piece of tofu, let's present Kui Jing Wei!
Testing, test. Last month I was kayaking my campus, but I got capsized. And to my horror, I lost the watch that my mother gave me. It sank to the bottom of the lake. The water was too muddy for me to try anything. But I thought of this another method of looking at it. I'm going to use my ears to hear, because my watch beeps at 12 every midnight. In astronomy, people have been trying the same thing. I tried to use my ears instead of my eyes to look for my watch. They have been trying to look for this one type of ripples called gravitational waves. Instead of using light to study the universe, the method of using light is known as electromagnetic wave astronomy. They look at the lights and radiations that come from celestial bodies. But Albert Einstein himself thinks, besides electromagnetic waves, some objects with monstrous gravity in the universe would stir up some ripples, gravitational waves. And this gravitational waves is penetrating. Lights can be blocked. But how do we block gravity? It's everywhere. It penetrates. It's just like this. You cannot see me, but you can hear me. In the same way, we can be using gravitational waves to hear of things that we cannot see. And this technique of using gravitational waves is known as gravitational wave astronomy. But here's a catch. The universe don't talk, it whispers, and it whispers real soft. Likely, most of us don't notice it. the birds have started singing since I came in. And the reason that we don't hear it were two. For first, it was too soft. And for second, the noises are too overwhelming. It's the same reasons that stops me from finding my watch under the lake. And the same reasons for physicists to be thinking it's absurd and impossible, insane for us to think that we can find gravitational waves. It's simply just too soft. Even the great Einstein himself thinks that it's impossible for humankind to ever find it. But some people said physicists never walk away. So about 1,000 of them gathered together, spending $1 billion USDs, 40 years, and building the detectors that stretch from here to my campus in PJ. On September of 2015, a loud signal hit the detectors, and they found it. Gravitational waves, the faintest signal that humankind has ever detected. That has marked the beginning of gravitational waves astronomy. 400 years ago, Galileo Galilei, he created his telescope and pointed it to the sky. That marks the birth of electromagnetic wave astronomy. And just by looking up the skies with our eyes, we have came a long way. It has revolutionized how much we think about the world and discoveries that blew us away again and again. Now we have started to hear the things that we cannot see with gravitational waves. And that led us to wonder, actually how much more revolutions and discoveries we are going to have in the next 400 years. Thank you.
Wonderful job, Jing Wei. Now, I see that the judges are fighting to ask a question. Maybe we'll start with Dr. Zaid.
Hello. Yep. Right. Thank you, Jing Wei, for that wonderful presentation. My question would be that what are the findings of these gravitational waves that you think would benefit humans in the future? I mean, what are the possible applications of this finding gravitational waves?
I hope a lot of people would ask this question because this kind of frontier physics, people used to think that it's too abstract and remote. It has little application to do with us. Gravitational, so what? What is going to change me tomorrow? For humankind, general application, it's a spins off. A lot of this type of frontier physics usually spins off a lot of technologies for us. Take for example, World Wide Web. It comes out when people were trying to create a network to put up the data together, not because we were trying to connect people together. And for example, desktop laptops. IBM used to think about 100 years ago, we don't need more than 6 desktops in the world. But then because to cope with the demands of the scientific discoveries, they want to make this thing strong. And by doing it, making it very sophisticated, it just suddenly make it more accessible for our general mankind to have applied in our daily life. Wireless communications, Wi-Fi, digital camera, memory storage, those are the spins off from this frontier of science.
Really interesting story, and I could listen to you telling me more about this all night, but it sounds like the project was a very big team effort, costing many billions of US dollars. What was your novel contribution to the discovery?
My contribution to the discovery, it's not really, but I think my contribution for the discovery, it's allowing more discoveries to come. Because gravitational wave is generated by a lot of objects in the universe. And one of it that's very interesting, it's a gravitational waves that are being left over during the Big Bang, during the creation of the universe. So the challenge, now we still cannot hear the Big Bang gravitational waves. It's because of the technique that we have. It has to be faster in detecting gravitational waves. So the traditional technique is not fast enough. My project is trying to use machine learning, deep learning, to try to have them done by itself in real time. So they call this thing multi-messenger astronomy. By using electromagnetic astronomy and also gravitational astronomy, they will point at the same place when it gets detected, and they will learn a lot of things about it. It's just like when we hear someone talking to us, when we look at them, things just suddenly get more meaningful.
Brilliant.
That's a beautiful way to end the Q&A. Let's give it up again for Jing Wei for his gravitational waves. Now, next up, we have Dr. Khalisa Zulkifli, fondly known as Kelly, who is a cell biologist at Sunway University. If you're nice to her, maybe you can get a chance at sampling her amazing brownies. But don't be fooled by the calm baking scientist exterior. Dr. Kelly is actually an adrenaline junkie. Her favorite things are jumping out of planes, into roller coasters, and horror flicks. And in between, she has hobbies of photography and making illustrations about science to inspire the next generation of scientists. So, without further ado, let's give it up for our coaster-loving, camera-wielding, cell biology scientist, Dr. Kelly. Woo!
Test, test. 1, 2, 3, test. In the last 1 minute, 3 individuals just been diagnosed with HIV. 30 people just found out they have cancer. What if I told you that you can reduce your risk of these diseases without significantly changing your behavior or lifestyle? What if I told you that you can be a better version of yourself? You see, what makes you, you, are genes. Genes are recipes that determine many characteristics such as your height, your blood type, the color of your eyes. Well, unless you're wearing colored contact lenses. Genes also determine your risk of inheriting certain diseases. The book containing all these recipes is called a genome, much like this book. Every page is a recipe for a gene, and all of us have the same sets of genes, which is why we are all, but the exact recipe differs, which is why we're all different and unique in our own way. And there's only one Dwayne Johnson. Our genome is essentially the code of life, and scientists around the world, including Malaysia, are trying to break this code to determine which typos or mutations can cause diseases. And today, we have this powerful tool that can hack into this code of life and correct all these typos. Though it may sound like some random brand of chips, CRISPR is similar to a search and replace function in Microsoft Word. What it does is that it scans through the recipes of the genome, finds the typo, deletes it, and corrects it. So even if you were born with a bad recipe or develop one as you age, CRISPR can change your fate. My PhD work involved a gene that is implicated in Alzheimer's disease. But that is still a work in progress. Scientists in China, however, have successfully created the first of its kind gene-edited babies. These babies, Lulu and Nana, were edited so that they are resistant to HIV infection. This sparked outrage among many people who are concerned about the unknown long-term effects of CRISPR. There is also fear that this progress heralds a new era of designer babies, where parents can not only ensure that their children are free of diseases, but are also given the best chance at life by pre-selecting desired physical characteristics and even intelligence. CRISPR is the ultimate life hack. It can alter your fate and ultimately create a utopian world for all humankind. Just imagine a world free of diseases. But will there be a point where we've gone too far in altering our fate? And what is the best version of ourselves? Is it really having the perfect recipe? Or is it cooking with love and serving the soul? Thank you.
Woo! Wow, Kelly, beautiful science, beautiful message about humanity. Judges. Oh.
Well done.
Thank you.
But the MC said this is Malaysia Baru. How does CRISPR solve the problem of the grassroots that we have in Malaysia? The B40, for example. Should we let poor people, hardcore poor people, gene edit their embryos, for example, just to ensure that they have more intelligent babies that can single-handedly, not awaiting government, to take the family out of poverty, for example? And why would people trust this when it doesn't even work for plants? Look at the farmers in India, both basmati and even for cotton. Every day there's a farmer shown scientifically by statistics killing themselves because the big companies like Monsanto are controlling gene editing of the future plants and hence have to buy from them. So please, please make it linked to us in Malaysia. How does this work for us? Because I'm sick and tired of being in the media, the government saying we do not have money, but our scientists say that there's this great technology. Prove us wrong here.
Thank you very much for that question. That is a very relevant question in this current political climate, as well as for us to reach the SDGs by 2050. 2030, actually. All right, so this is the way I see it. CRISPR, sure, it is looking to be the ultimate life hack. It can probably change everyone's lives. But you're right, the accessibility of this technology is limited to only those who have, and it's not really accessible to those who have not. And one comment I have about CRISPR, because I've done CRISPR in my own projects, I don't think it's ready for embryonic gene editing, because for embryonic gene editing, you're editing something that is going to turn into a baby who can then pass on those edits to their babies. And these edits are permanent. So whatever you do to those embryos, it is going to be permanent, and we don't know whether or not is it going to be safe or not. Well, we have those babies that are going to be maintained anonymous until they're 18, but we still don't know. In regards to how we're going to let this be accessible to, for example, the B40 and even Malaysia, I think that we need to be more proactive in trying to make it more accessible to the farmers or to the people here. It has a lot of potential. That's where I can see it. But scientists, policymakers, government, we have to work together to make sure that this technology and any technology, like even the internet, is accessible to all. Because there's no unity if we're not together, united, and moving forward.
Sure, Deborah.
Thank you.
Great question.
I have a quick question.
Hi.
What's your view of Charles Darwin's thesis on survival of the fittest?
So natural selection and how gene editing can alter that.
Yeah.
For those who you may not know, natural selection is basically survival of the fittest. So whoever is fittest can reproduce and therefore carry on their genes for the rest of their progeny or their children. With CRISPR, it will change natural selection. So for example, scientists are trying to create disease-resistant crops or disease-resistant animals. And if those animals and crops are let out in the wild ecosystem, that will give them a competitive advantage to those who don't have. And that could be a problem because that could eliminate the natural species. And the elimination of one species is going to be a problem because it changes the balance of the ecosystem. It's similar to this technology called gene drives, where they marry with CRISPR, and they're trying to make mosquitoes sterile so that we can get rid of malaria and dengue. And that is also something to think about because mosquitoes, even though they're annoying, they have a purpose in our ecosystem. Thank you for that question.
I'm not moving very closely because I'm getting attracted to your brilliance.
Yeah.
That's part of it, but we are out of time.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Let's give it a round of applause to Kelly, our crispiest scientist. And isn't it amazing? We've heard already 3 of our brilliant Malaysian young talent. There's just so much hope for us. Agreed? Yeah. All right. Now, next, we have our 4th participant. And she is an MSc student at University Putra Malaysia. And I see her proud supervisor somewhere there. Although, when we asked her who she really looked up to, her answer wasn't you, Dr. Leslie.
Hello, testing. Okay.
The answer was her dad, but only because he's taller than her. So besides being a joker, she's a baker, she's a gardener, and now a science communicator. Let's put our hands for Look Yi Lin!
What is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Do you check your phone for the latest updates or go right back to sleep? Well, I for one would cup my hands to smell my morning breath. When I was younger, I've been told that eating too much candy can lead to bad breath. Today, I know it's a different type of candy, a microorganism called Candida. Candida is an opportunistic fungus. It is naturally part of your body's ecosystem, but will cause problems in large quantity. This goes from the aforementioned bad breath and skin infection. However, a weakened immune system, be it from AIDS, age, or stress, can lead to candidiasis, severe candida infection often occurring in the oral cavity, gut, and most commonly of all, the vagina. In fact, 3 out of 4 women will suffer some form of vaginal candidiasis within their lifetime. And at this point, I'm sure half of the audience are sighing in relief. Well, penile candidiasis is a thing. Google image that at your own discretion. While an epidemic of candidiasis is very unlikely in a healthy people, the same can be said in a sick population. Hospital patients, especially those in the intensive care unit, have a significantly higher chance of contracting this disease. Imagine that, going to the hospital to receive treatment for a disease, only to pick up another. To make matters worse, candidiasis patients often suffer relapses due to the duality of candida. Some researchers have even compared it to a plate of spaghetti with meatballs. Bear with me here. Candida, in its meatball form, is able to travel around the body as a yeast particle. These particles are so tiny that they can even traverse the blood-brain barrier, a barrier that's supposed to protect your brain from other microbes. Once the candida has found a suitable surface, it assumes its more developed noodle form. As a noodle form, it grows root-like filamentations and secretes a slimy barrier to form a 3D complex, similar to how spaghetti noodles hold bolognese or carbonara sauce together. Unlike a plate of spaghetti though, the Candida 3D complex is resistant to most forms of treatment. In fact, most of our treatment nowadays cannot treat any severe candidiasis infection causing lots of death. Currently, our solution is a prescription of antifungal drugs, but it usually takes that along with a commitment to a low carbohydrate diet to successfully control the candida population in our body. With that said, the next time you reach out for those sugary treats, remember you're sharing it with candida. Thank you.
Excellent job, Yi Lin.
I don't have much time, so I just want to say, Abi, let's go. Can you link this to the thing that we, especially more than 50% of males in this country, when we were small, we told that we must go and see this top modem thingy, we must have circumcision. Can you link that to the fact that, yes, even though it's not a sexually transmitted disease, but its home is usually around the sexual organs, one of the most favorite one. So can you link to why the Muslim advocates, and it said that it's better to have circumcision? Does it take away the ability for the yeast to, put itself there and have a colony? Can't you please alert me to that so that I can tell, there's so many debates now about Muslim and circumcisions. So maybe you can help use this knowledge to spread that information.
Thank you very much for the question. That is actually a very relevant topic that I surprisingly read just yesterday night, just in case. So, first of all, the question of is circumcision good for you or bad for you? It's a very heated topic. There's lots of ways to look at it. You can look at it from a moral perspective, a science perspective, or even an ethical perspective. But the general consensus between scientists is it's good and bad. That doesn't really answer any question, right? Now, just to clarify, the good is because when you remove the foreskin of the penis, what happens is you actually decrease surface area for candida to colonize. So with less area to colonize, the candida won't prefer to grow there. It'll grow somewhere else like your mouth. The bad thing about circumcision that studies have found, again, not everything has been conclusive. There's not really a right or wrong answer. It's still on the fence, is that when you do circumcision, if the procedure is not done correctly, then you get another different infection, a more severe one to add to that So as of today, there is no clear-cut answer, but these are the evidence presented. Does that answer your question?
And Cik we'll just have to settle with that for now, because we are running a bit out of time. So,
Can I ask another quick? Can I? Yeah, we're
Okay.
desperate
To
to ask
cut or
questions.
not to cut?
We're desperate to ask questions here. Go online with your topic, and lots of online remedies come up, you know, sort of natural remedies, anything from apple cider vinegar to kimchi, although I'm not quite sure where one would want to put that. Are there any of any of these? You've mentioned prescription drugs, but if people are going to these home remedies, have any of them been scientifically validated? Some of them, are there some big hypes, and are any of them dangerous?
Yes. So in terms of home remedy, most of the evidence out there are from foreign and anecdotal evidence. And the reason is because candidiasis by itself is actually not that dangerous if you're healthy. Because it's just an overpopulated colony of bacteria that will eventually get wiped out if you give it time, if you eat healthily, you just continue with your healthy practices. So most people think, oh, if I use this super nice oil I just got from the Tok Guru just now, then maybe it will disappear later, when in actuality it's just their own body's immune system.
all right, and with that, the question is to cut or not to cut. It's such a riveting discussion, but it will have to be continued later. And congratulating you, Yi-Lin, for using two topics that most people respond to, sex and food, as well as a great talk in general. So once again, let's give it up for Yi-Lin. Woo! Our fifth contender is the Southern Heat winner, who is a PhD candidate hailing from UTM. She fancies herself a determined dreamer turned forensic enthusiast, and truly inspired by the more macabre side of life. Even when she's not shedding blood, sweat, and tears in the forensic laboratory, you can find her enjoying crime-related TV shows while sipping her favorite maca. Sounds like a peaceful pastime indeed. So let's put our hands together to welcome our very own female forensic force, Aida Azman. Woo!
Have you ever wondered how these lines on fingers can help put bad people behind bars? Well, for starters, this line, we call it as fingerprints, is very unique to only one individual. Even so, the identical twins has two different sets of fingerprints. So it might get you wonder why two identical twins have two different sets of fingerprint. Well, it started with the development of fingerprints while you were growing comfortably in the wombs of your mom as the early as 13th of the week. And it is influenced by a number of factors like individual fetal growth and pressure. Take it like this. A fingerprint can tell apart who's who precisely, just like how our moms always knows who has been stealing her freshly baked cookies. So secondly, a fingerprint can link you to an object that you has touched or places you has been. Even it looks a lot more durable than it looks. Why? Because these lines are physically embedded under layers of skin, which makes it remain unchanged throughout your own lifetime, unless a permanent or deep-seated injury is made to the particular skin cells. Besides, research has shown that even after 40 years of left undisturbed, researchers were still able to recover the fingerprints that were left on a piece of paper. On top of that, in 2018, Interpol has reported a whopping 1,270 successful identifications of fingerprint in criminal investigation. Considering that, fingerprints commonly found at crime scenes are almost imperfect, smudged, disturbed, or partial. So really, how unique a fingerprint can be? Well, for more than 100 years, fingerprint has been one of the most powerful human identification tool in identifying criminals or victims. So in all of this time, in all of more than 100 years, millions, billions of criminal cases, no two individuals have ever reported to share the same fingerprint. So citing a quote by a prominent scientist, Francis Galton, who stated that the probability of two individuals who shares the same fingerprint is like 1 in 64 billions. So it kind of makes you wonder, how cool are these lines on your fingers? So just remember, the next time you touch something, you're leaving a part of you that no other 64 billion people in the world has with just one touch. So on a side note, please don't commit crime, otherwise you might get busted by your own fingerprints. Thank you.
Fabulous. You've left an amazing impression. Judges.
Hello? Yes, so Ida, thank you for your talk. So we've read that you are a forensic scientist, you're a forensic researcher.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask, how does your research tie into this topic? I mean, what does your research hope to sort of achieve in the end?
Thank you, Dr. Zaid. It's actually an interesting question. Actually, my research revolves around the visualization of latent fingerprints. Latent means invisible. So I'm particularly focusing on developing a new sort of greener method to visualize fingerprints on objects like a weapon, sort of like knives, that has been thrown inside the water. So because fingerprints are made up of water-soluble amino acid and lipid-soluble fatty acids. So my method specifically, using Candida rugosa lipase, we're targeting the lipids of the fingerprints. Thank you.
So I think I might actually make a good criminal that couldn't be detected, because when I go through the e-gate at KLIA International, it can never read my fingerprints. Why is that, given that they're such unique markers?
There are some cases, thank you, doctor. There are some cases actually that even though the fingerprints are permanently fixed under layers of skin, as you gracefully age, the skin kind of loses its elasticity. So sometimes the scanner kind of, get confused in reading your fingerprints. You are gracefully.
Just a hint. Never imply that the judges are old. All right? That's my job. No, but it's brilliant. I mean, any other questions? Fabulous. I never knew that we actually had fat on our fingerprint.
Yeah, we do actually.
You're a fountain of knowledge, our superstar CSI scientist. Let's give a round of applause to Aida Rashida Azman. Brilliant, brilliant. Right. Our next participant is a passionate psychology lecturer from Inti College in Nilai, and she believes in reinventing education. And pretty impressive, she's even received recognition for her supervision of students from MIT, and I'm still trying to get recognition from my wife. Hailing from Ipoh and a fan of Maya Angelou, let's give a huge round of applause for Koshila Nair, Seguran Nair!
Testing. Motherhood. The media portrays it to be easy, like a walk in the park. But in nature, it's the Jurassic Park. Can I start again? Motherhood. The media portrays it to be easy. It's like a walk in the park, but perhaps it's more of a Jurassic Park. Now, what do mothers have in common? Well, it's the big C, childbirth. Now, childbirth is a beautiful yet painful life experiences, but basically they endure long hours of contraction, and during in labor, the mother basically goes through a tremendous shift of physical and emotional change.
Just breathe. You're good.
so sorry.
Don't worry, I heard you just now. You're so fluent, you knew everything. Just think about what you really care about, right? Think about mental health, the work that you're doing. Think about your students, you inspire. Go.
Motherhood.
Can you go and hug her? Can you go up and hug her?
Yeah. All right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm
You
just
go?
giving blank.
We're not here.
Motherhood. The media portrays it to be easy, like a walk in the park. But in actual, it's the Jurassic Park.
That's all right.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Let's give a round of applause
give-
for Coach Sheila
Coach
Naik.
Sheila.
Guys, this isn't easy. It's amazing
Why
that
don't you just
people
tell
come up
everyone why you
here.
joined FameLab? I mean, it's so amazing in the announce. Just tell them. Just talk. It's like normal. I'll just give you a few seconds. Tell them why you joined FameLab. Your amazing work on mental health, you know. And today you've also described and actually showed them the best example of memory loss. Right?
That's right.
It's okay. Take it up. Why don't you say something?
Wait, I'm trying to remember my second paragraph.
Okay. The time is still running, so you can still. Do you remember your first the heat stock? Why don't you just give that?
I can't remember. I remember this. What do mothers have in common? Well, they go through something called the childbirth. Childbirth basically is a change of physical and emotional changes, which society fails to understand. The term baby blues basically means having detached feelings and unhappy feelings that lasts for 2 weeks, affecting 80% of the mothers. And when it's more than 2 weeks, it is known as postpartum depression. Postpartum depression is a medical illness that affects women after childbirth.
Don't worry. I'm so proud of you that you stood up here. All right, but you know what? You have it in you. Let's give a huge round of applause. This is not easy, but let's still have the question and answers. All right? I'm
know
sure
your
you have
stuff.
that. Yep.
Judges, you have something to ask Coach Sheila?
This is a fascinating topic, Kashila. Thank you very much, and giving me an opportunity to ask you a question about postpartum depression. I was looking online at something, and I know that there's not been much research done on the link between religious identity and the risk of developing postpartum depression. But there's been some work done, especially in relation to Muslim women in the Middle East and Pakistan and the United States, showing that there is a strong negative correlation between religiosity and the risk of getting of suffering from postpartum depression. So I was just wondering how you feel about that. How valid you consider that to be, and if so, would that be something you would wish to include in your work, or maybe you have looked at the degree to which religion and a strong family network and everything else that goes with that is a good indication that a woman will not succumb to postpartum depression.
Yes. Thank you for the question, though. First of all, I'm so sorry that I was unable to present.
Don't apologize.
No apologies necessary.
Okay. Now, the thing about postpartum depression is it starts from a medical basis because it's of a biological basis, whereby when the mother goes through postpartum depression, it's mainly because of drop of hormones, namely estrogen and progesterone, and also when it comes to changes of blood volume and blood pressure as well. So there's also a notation of accepting that besides biological reasons, that could also be based on socio-cultural reasons as well. So the thing is whereby we live in a society when there's new mothers, we basically dictate how new mothers should behave. So when they do show symptoms like anxiety, panic attacks, they cry a lot, and they have withdrawal from friends and family, and also they have the tendency to harm oneself and the baby. So this is where I wanted to actually say that when it comes to news reports, especially in Malaysia, there are cases whereby mothers do stab, drown, and even suffocate their babies, and including mothers jumping down from the apartments and condominiums. That is how bad things are. So the same thing when it comes to religion as to how it creates the growth of this postpartum depression is basically we do not have the capacity to encourage more open dialogues because we live in a society that looks more on putting on fear towards mother. Because like for example, if I were to relate society in Malaysia, we have this superstitious belief, for example, leaning towards supernatural reasons as to when a mother shows symptoms of postpartum depression.
Certainly remember that when I was having my baby. So it's a beautiful explanation, very enlightening indeed. Thank you,
Thank
Koshila.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for enlightening us on a very important topic, which is postpartum depression. So we're halfway through, and we have our lucky number 7th contender. It's Dr. Hazrin Abdul Rashid, a medical officer in the psychiatry department. Not only is he completing his final year postgraduate study in Faculty of Medicine, UITM, he is also a father to 2 children. Talk about busy. But this super dad isn't all work and no play. You might be able to convince him to serenade you with a number or 2, though his preferred venue is the shower. And with that lovely image lingering, let's give a huge welcome to our super singing shower singer psychiatrist, Dr. Hazrin. Woo!
2 years ago, I was on call. At around 10 p.m., I received a call from the emergency department. There, I met patient X. He was psychotic, restless, and agitated. He was convinced that someone wanted to kill him. It turned out he had been addicted to methamphetamine for the past 10 years. Methamphetamine is also known on the street as crystal meth, shabu, ice, or pil kuda, literally horse pills, perhaps as a reflection of its effect of making you feel like a superhero or an insatiable stud. But the drug is also known to cause psychosis. We treated him for about 2 weeks in our ward before he was discharged. 2 months later, he came back with the exact same problem. Sadly, this is a recurrent story for many drug addicts out there because as many as 60% of recovering addicts relapse within 1 year. Individuals like patient X is just like any of us with jobs and families to support. Because of drugs, they are trapped in this vicious cycle of unemployment, poverty, crime, and broken families. It's easy to make a moral judgment against them. Are they stupid, careless, bad, immoral? Why don't they learn their lessons? Why are they repeating the same mistakes? Drugs like methamphetamine disrupt the dopamine activities in the reward center of the brain. Dopamine is what motivates us to repeat behaviors we find pleasurable. Dopamine is also important in the process of learning, which happens in the memory part of the brain called the hippocampus. Here, through the process of associative learning, the drug high moments will be linked to specific triggers. These triggers can be physical, such as hearing a song that reminds you of the time and place when you used drugs. Much like how the sight of 7-Eleven would trigger my 2-year-old to cry for Kinder Joy, the infamous chocolate eggs with surprise toys that have been terrorizing parents everywhere. These triggers can be so powerful they induce cravings even if you have abstained for many years. The triggers can also be emotional, such as happy feelings, depression, anxiety, or something as benign as boredom. Much like how you would check your phone when you're bored, even if there's no reason for you to do so. By the way, I'm totally watching you guys just to see how well I'm doing. Finally, drugs will hijack the prefrontal cortex, and the brain loses its ability to recognize problems, find solutions, and inhibits destructive impulses. This is the reason why addicts like patient X continue to make terrible decisions, why they risk their lives to keep on using drugs. Maybe we are too focused in cutting supplies and filling our prisons with addicts. Maybe it's time for us to ask ourselves, are addicts criminals or victims of their own circumstances? How can we as a society collectively do better to fight this epidemic? Thank you.
Fabulous, Dr. Hazrin. Fantastic message.
Abi is a drunk by himself, but
you're addicted to me, that's it.
well, I've been waiting for two world-class winners to change the discourse of this country. But since I have to wait for the third one, which you might be, so I'm going to put this to you. The fact that the discourse in Malaysia is so low has seen not much public outcry on, even with the new government, that drug addicts are being treated as criminals rather than patients. So how and what can you do to beg to differ? You have a deputy minister from the Prime Minister's office who can push it to his minister to push it to the oldest Prime Minister in the world, that from tomorrow we must publicly announce that drug addicts are not criminals but patients who need medical attention. I want to know how you're going to do it, because this discourse is not new. So if you're going to convince me to support you to be the world winner, tell us how.
Which is why today's talk is brought to you by FameLab and Kinder Joy. Anyway, I agree with you. Effective communication, make it more understandable for not only for the people. These are the people that the patients are going to return back to upon discharge. And these people, family members, are also going to be the voters. And you know, if we can educate our people to push for some policy changes at a very higher level of policy making, I believe that we can make it an important issue so that the change that you are hoping for can take place. That is one. And I agree with you that right now what we're trying to do in Malaysia is we're trying to, because you see, like you mentioned, drug addicts in Malaysia are being treated like criminals. It means that the difference between being treated as a criminal and being treated as a patient brings a lot of consequences in how you tackle this problem. If you consider them as criminals, then of course corrective measures, incarceration and things like that. But if you take them as patients, you would try to think about how can we ensure that even right now, even though we have not moved into decriminalization of some drugs, but how can we make sure that all these addicts who are in prison, they can actually receive treatment, proper treatment, so that when they go out from prisons, they can actually have all the competence and tools in order to reset their life. Because being in prison is actually a major setback. You see, like I'm just giving you an example of the patient that I was describing just now, patient X. I mean, you see, we discharged him after 2 weeks, and he would return to the same environment, same set of friends, same set of problems, and these are the reason why they relapse. So obviously something needs to be done, either upon being discharged and also when they're in prison alone. Still in prison.
I still think you can be more critical. Abi is going to cut you, but Esrawani will give you a slot regardless of whether you win or not.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Hazrin. I think the only crime is actually body shamers, Chekan. All right, so thank you. Let's give a huge round of applause to Dr. Hazrin.
Thank you.
And we move on to our next participant. Next, we have our Northern Heat winner, who is a wildlife researcher, and she's also completing her PhD at University Science Malaysia. And she founded the Langur project in Penang, and she's really trying to find a way to harmonize the existence between humans and wildlife. I was just talking to her backstage. All she needs to do is spend the weekend with me, with my family, my children and my in-laws, and she'll probably understand better. I'm talking about the squirrels at the backyard, all right, by the way. So she also won the International Environmental Educators 30 Under 30 in 2008, and this is the first Malaysian ever to do that. So please welcome our positive, powerful monkey protector, Jolie, Jolie, Jolie.
All right. Good luck, Martin, because I won't be seeing you. Yeah.
All the best.
Thank you. Shoki. Shoki. I'm next.
And then Zara.
Test, test.
Hello. Because on mute? Yes. Oh, you just wanted me to take out my shirt.
Oh yeah, I want everyone to see
So
you.
you got a free picture from the World Cup here.
Okay. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. All right. Two years ago, a call came in. Jolene, there's a dusky-leaved monkey by the road. The caller then sent me a photo of the monkey. The monkey's name was Dot. I was thinking, what was he doing by the road? As a dusky-leaved monkey researcher, my team and I have been following Dot and his family every day to learn about their life. We found that Dot and his family were spending a lot of time up in the trees, and they play important roles in dispersing seeds to maintain healthy forest ecosystem. Unfortunately, as days passed, Dot and his family were spending a lot of time by the road. The cutting down of trees for development and roads divides their home and food resources. They risk being hit by car, face conflict with humans, and even poachers that catch them to sell on the black market as pets. Then, one night, not too long after, I found Dot dead by the road. Dot was hit by a car while trying to cross the street from the forest to the sleeping tree by the sea. The driver was traumatized and the car was damaged. Dot's lifeless body in my arm left me devastated that night. It felt like I have lost a friend. Above all, roads are meant to be connection, not means of separation. I was at an emotional crossroad, both angry and sad, yet determined. I was wondering, what can I do to help these treetop animals to cross roads safely? What can all of us do to reduce road accidents and animal road kills? In Malaysia, safe animal crossings such as viaduct has been built throughout the peninsula to help big animals such as tigers and elephants to cross roads safely. But there were no safe crossing for treetop animals. Until 2 months ago. My team and I constructed Malaysia's first urban canopy bridge in Dot's home in Penang. This will allow Dot's family and their friends to cross roads safely without the need to run across. We built this bridge by using discarded fire hoses, a durable and environmental-friendly material. While this bridge is a result of a team effort, and though challenging at times, we have met so many wonderful people out there who are doing their very best to help our wildlife residents. Simple contribution from all of you, such as volunteering and speaking out for the voiceless animal, are the first step to initiate greater ideas. Dot inspired my team and I to build this bridge and to share our story with every one of you. We want to show that every one of us in this room can make a positive impact for our animals in this human-impacted world. All we need is compassion and commitment. We welcome everyone on board to bridge the gap so that we can make our environment a space with minimal human-wildlife conflict. And Dot and I say thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Well done, Jolene, showing that monkey business is truly serious business.
Right,
Rajesh?
Hi, thank you, Jolene. My question would be that you mentioned challenges. So
Yes.
what exactly are the challenges that's stopping you from building more and more of these, crossings? Is it just the cost of them, or are there specific design or specifications that you need to adhere to in order to build them?
All right, so the first obstacle, of course, the most important is the people perception to monkeys. When you talk about monkeys, people will always think them as pets or pests. They're cute, they're so cuddly, and they're pests, they feed on my agriculture farm. Yeah, so the first thing to do is to let people to understand the importance of primates. They help to disperse seeds, and they help to regrow forest plant, and from there, then we're able to approach the government and non-government agency to get their approval to build the bridge. Of course, the specs is another thing. When we came out with the idea to building the canopy bridge, like this photo over here, it was a twisted liana, yeah? Twisted liana to enable it to mimic the tree branches of the forest for the monkeys to cross. So initially we were wondering like what kind of design should we use, whether it's a net design, whether it's cross design or twisted liana. So to consider the structure and the design of the rope system or the bridge system is also very crucial so that we can have monkeys to cross. And good news, 4 days after we set up this bridge, the macaques use this bridge. For your information, long-tailed macaques, they are the species of monkey that encounter the highest roadkill with up to 200 reported cases per year in Peninsular Malaysia.
All right. No more questions? Well, because you covered it so well. Let's give it up again for the pride of Penang, Jolene. All right, now our next contender is a classically trained dancer and singer who is also a pharmacy graduate, currently pursuing a master's in cancer pharmacology at University of Malaya. Her passion for cancer research has fueled a journey of exploring endless possibilities with the hope that we will win the battle against the disease someday. Give a warm welcome to our classical cancer cure seeker, hopefully dancing her way to drug discovery. I do try. Tanusha M. Ganesan. Woo!
Test for the mic. Okay, boleh move atas sikit. Okay. Test.
Your body is now eating itself. Do not freak out. It is actually a good thing. The cells in your body are currently experiencing self-eating, or better known as autophagy. Not Tommy Thomas, the AG, but autophagy. In fact, AG and autophagy are quite similar after all, especially in the way they function. All that an AG does is he tries to get rid of crime from a country to uphold the judiciary system. Whether it's 1MDB or the very popular Pink Diamond case, all that an AG does is to get rid of this unwanted corruption from the society to ensure a clean and healthy judiciary system. Now, that's exactly what autophagy does in our body. Our body is constantly trying to eliminate damaged bits and parts of cells or even the bugs that try to invade our immune system. And autophagy comes to rescue by locking these damaged parts of cells, digesting them, and kicking them out of your body. While an AG strives to uphold national integrity, autophagy strives to maintain the cellular integrity. But if an AG becomes too powerful, there will be disruption in the balance of the judiciary system due to external influences on the AG chamber, and crimes will become rampant. We all know absolute power corrupts. Now that's exactly the scenario with autophagy. It's all about the balance. Too little or too much of autophagy can disrupt the balance and lead to cancer. When there is too little of autophagy, its tumor suppressive function is affected. When there is too much of autophagy, it becomes protective of the cancer cells by helping them to survive by providing nutrients. But very often, the solutions lie within the problems. And understanding this, in our lab, we use pomegranate extract to induce autophagy in colon cancer. and we found out that the extract was killing the cancer cells, but it does no harm to the normal cells. We believe that the extract is restoring the balance of autophagy and trying to prevent cancer progression, and at the same time, it protects the normal cells. Whether it's the AG or the autophagy, there will always be influences to disrupt the balance of the system. But if we strive to make a change, just like the past general election, the balance could indeed be restored. I bet the next time you see Tommy Thomas on television, autophagy is what comes to your mind. And maybe me too. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, Tanusha. AG autophagy. Fabulous.
Thank you.
Judges?
Brilliant talk. And
Thank you
I
very
think
much.
you can probably handle a scientific question, so I'm going to ask you one. Why colon cancer? And does autophaging is it a process that's relevant to all sorts of cancer? So is this going to be a miracle cure?
That's a very good question. I should say my lady because I'm actually getting into correct since I'm in a robe. So colon cancer, because it's one of the most common cancer in the world, in fact, second most common cancer in the world. But particularly, I pick autophagy in colon cancer because autophagy is actually context dependent. When I say context dependent, it means it acts differently in different types of cancer. In some cancers, it can actually be pro-survival, and in some cancers, it can be pro-cell death. And that is actually a very interesting, at the same time, a big challenging part that we have to deal with autophagy. And the reason we pick punicalagin to test on colorectal cancer cells, just to clarify, punicalagin is actually the extracts that we use from pomegranate, because we do have literature evidences that say that by using such natural substances, autophagy can actually be induced, and that can lead to prevention of progression of cancer. And the most interesting part is actually the dual nature, whereby the normal cell is protected, which we don't see with the current chemotherapeutic drugs that we have in the market.
Another question. The most common link that I've seen between autophagy and something that a mainstream audience would be interested in is intermittent fasting. So I was just wondering, how useful is intermittent fasting in effecting the balance that you have just talked about, or is it a dangerous fad?
Is it a dangerous, sorry?
Fad. You know, so something that people do that, you know, here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing.
Well, I have not read much papers that scientifically have proven whether fasting could actually help with autophagy, whether it could get back the balance of the autophagy, but I've actually read about how fasting could help in terms of getting back to the balance of autophagy. But personally, I would say that we need more evidence-based studies, because we are a scientific community. So if we were to go into practice, we need either evidence-based studies or science-based studies to decide whether a practice or a lifestyle modification can actually lead to significant differences physiologically. So if there are papers, more papers that were to come out of based on the fasting, and if it could actually help us to restore the balance of autophagy, then we might decide whether it is actually crucial or not. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
You already look the part. Great lawyer.
Thank you.
Great scientist. So exciting. And I want to stop because I'm sure Chekem is about to suggest that I should fast. So we will then move on to the next participant. But before that, huge round of applause for Tanusha. Fabulous. Right. Next up, our 10th finalist is very fluent in Arabic, I'm told. And that's because he worked in Abu Dhabi for quite a while as an environmental research engineer. Now he's a STEM instructor at Axiom Learning. What's exciting is that when he was in Abu Dhabi, he was once stranded in a salt flat while hunting for bacteria, as one would do. Our resourceful contender had to use random shrubs and landmarks to eventually find his way back to safety and civilization. And you know, that story had a happy ending, because coming to you now is our geological guide from the Gulf, Wan Abdul Martin bin Wan Abdul Rahim Kamel. He's got a fan base, I see.
Now, what if I told you that millennia of human history literally ride on the shoulders of microscopic giants? Some of you look incredulous, but guess what? We have always drawn strength from the earth, specifically topsoil, in founding and feeding our civilizations. Though long seen as just rock bits and dead things, the dirt beneath our feet are actually way more alive than we realized, thanks to microbes, the planet's tiniest and oldest life forms. For eons, way before our farms, roads, and grand monuments came along, these microscopic engineers have been hard at work founding their own communities that could move nutrients, materials, and energy across the landscape and reshape it into a life-sustaining asset not seen anywhere else in our solar system. Well, rather than doing this alone as orphan cells with no chance against the harsh elements, microbes grow stronger by sticking together, by collaborating productively with one another using versatile tools they have in their arsenal. Communal microbes or social microbes depend particularly on exopolymers, a family of all-purpose chemicals which they diligently release and assemble, to keep them basically better at sticking, communicating, and also resisting threats. In using exopolymers to strengthen themselves, microbes often end up reinforcing their soil habitat by means of stitching up particles like clay, nutrients, minerals, and most importantly, carbon into complex soil aggregates. You might probably recognize these soil aggregates in deep, rich soil, and turns out they are very useful in locking up precious carbon recovered from dead or decaying things and buffer against chemical shocks. And this, in turn, creates a soil environment that is stable and with plenty of resources that can be shared around with various plants, fungi, animals, and the humans who eat them in return. Well, unfortunately, topsoil is a finite, non-renewable asset on a very hungry planet. With excessive tilling, plowing, and urban sprawling, we wash away literally tons of this life support each year at our peril. Well, this leaves very little room for growing more food in the future for future generations. And this is where microbe-inspired ingenuity comes in handy. Instead of looking at land as a blank slate that we can rip and strip, growers and builders today now turn to safeguarding soil communities and architecture so that they can become pillars of sustainable growth. By doing this, by investing in this bank that microscopic giants help establish, we are looking at a future that's hopefully happy, wealthy, and not hungry. Thank you.
Oh, excellent job.
Thank you.
Judges? Are you feeling?
Yes, but again, I want to tie up to why Malaysia must support this. And the science of microbe, you explained that very well. But there's a company called Solar Food in EU that's producing already, even though it's a startup, just taking hydrogen and CO2 from the air, gas fermentation of protein through microbes. So shouldn't we implore our cabinet to put money for novel founding through startups into things like this? And then the discussion about microbe will be soon. So what do you think? Because one of the biggest polluter is actually the food that we get from meat, which produces a lot of methane that goes into the air and kills the world. So viability in Malaysia of microbe producing protein.
That sounds like a really thoughtful question, because I always come across inquiries into whether we should turn to something really spacey, like protein pills versus, meat grown from live animals. Again, we're looking at food systems essentially, right? And these startups that you mentioned, they're supposed to be part of a food system in supplementing, I would say, proteins from microbes or whatever. And there are people out there who have no access to such things, and they have to rely on the ground, from the ground up. In Malaysia's case, I think we've got the right capacity in terms of exploring life science-based solutions. But again, how far is this solution, for example, fermented proteins from microbes, going to go in terms of feeding the masses, right? We already have that issue with things like supplements, right? We have very clinically produced supplements, tablets, garlic pills, and so on, ready to deliver to households that can afford them. But then we also have parts of the world which are still struggling to get rice or basic carbs and so on. So it could be a distribution issue. And in the case of Malaysia, it can probably supplement some food in some areas where maybe for emergency cases, for relief, human relief type situations where you need to supply sterile packaged foods and so on, where you don't have to worry about, you know, like the more complex stuff.
Excellent job. Thanks for supplementing our knowledge on soil today.
Thank you.
Let's give it up again for Martin. All right, now our penultimate contender is a lecturer at the Faculty of Health Sciences, UKM. Her passion lies in exercise physiology, investigating the effects of how exercise affects how the body processes fats and carbs. So while it's no surprise that this exercise expert's mantra is "you are how you move," she admits having a love-hate relationship with yoga, weight training, and chocolate cake. Me too. Presenting our physical powerhouse protagonist, Dr. Farah Fauzi. Woo!
I once met a 70-year-old lady who insisted to take part in a community walking program that ran for 10 weeks. But she had a slight limp and was using a walking stick. Undeterred by her physical limitation, she took up the challenge anyway. Exactly 10 weeks later, she no longer needed the walking stick. When Hippocrates, the Greek father of medicine, said that walking is man's best medicine, he was not kidding. The human body is an amazing organism, and it works best when it moves. And the organ responsible for creating movement is our skeletal muscles. We have over 600 muscles, which is an indication that the body is designed for movement. And interestingly, our muscles are not only critical for locomotion or showing off their six-packs at the beach, they also offer protection against chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even the effects of aging. It seems that our muscles are able to communicate with other organs to keep us healthy. Now, the key to this lies in the muscle contraction. When muscles contract to create movement, they produce chemical substances with powerful health benefits called myokines. Myokines come in different types and functions, but for the most part, they act like little messengers, sending positive signals to various parts of the body. Some go into the muscle tissue to promote with growth and repair, while others travel to distant organs like the brain, the heart, or the liver to promote improved whole body functions, reduce chronic inflammations, as well as prevent muscle loss in aging individuals. Now, the secretion of myokines is highly dependent on muscle contraction. Physical activity and exercise are therefore your best bet at unleashing these myokines, whereas lack of movement or muscle loss could result in insufficient myokine response, which partly explain for the metabolic dysfunctions commonly seen in the aging populations, paralyzed individuals, and even astronauts on extended space missions. The discovery of myokines is relatively new, but it has opened up possibilities for scientists to create therapeutic agents to mimic or trigger the beneficial actions of these myokines, especially in those with limited mobility or suffering from muscular disorders. But until then, let us move our bodies, because not only skeletal muscles are the largest organ in the body, but they also hold the key for us to live strong and prosper. If walking is man's best medicine, then myokines are the ingredients. Thank you.
Wow. Fantastic. That's great, Farah.
Thank you.
Our fitness scientist. Hold your tongue, Cam.
No, I was just wondering why it's not the other MC, but never mind, since you're talking about movement.
She needed a bad example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Understand, better we move, the better our health will be from scientific physiology. But our joints, they wear out, especially when we are moving a lot faster, when we're younger, let's say we're an athlete. So how do you keep up as the body age and weaken to still keep on moving or even moving faster, but doing it sustainably, physiologically? Otherwise, would what UK is doing by Advanced Factory 2050, where they are already pushing for manufacturing of artificial joints and using AI and robotics. So give me your thoughts on that.
Okay. There's this saying that you should recover like a demon and not exercise like a demon. So exercise is important, but the recovery part is equally important, if not more important. Because exercise is, I mean, you get a myriad of things happening, good things happening with exercise, but it is also an it is also an activity that induces inflammatory processes. Okay? And those inflammatory processes are what stimulates or results in joint degenerations. So recovery is the key, because that helps to suppress and makes our body recover from the inflammatory processes from the exercise itself. So with athletes, they are chronic exercises, and they also do it very intensively. And there's also maybe that leads to that gives them little time to recover, which basically, yeah.
Dr. Zaid has a question. Sorry, you don't go ahead. Sorry, Chekam, I didn't mean to. No, I'm just in recovery period. Let's not talk about me. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about this myokines, which we are, assuming is this magic ingredient, this fountain of youth, so to speak. So what are you suggesting? Are you suggesting that we sort of harvest this ingredient and market it somehow to people?
Well, with the potential to harvest, I mean, you can't harvest. I mean, well, I would say, the potential, I mean, why would you harvest something that's already inside your body? Why don't you...
To spacemen or, disabled people that you mentioned.
Right, okay, there's...
One sentence answer.
Human recombinant myokines. That is a possibility to give people who are not able to produce their own myokines.
That's right. And we heard CRISPR, right? Hacking the gene. Brilliant. Let's give a huge round of applause to our fittest scientist tonight, Dr. Nur Farah Muhammad Fauzi. And we have come to the final participant. And he's not just a pharmacist, he's a nuclear pharmacist, as opposed to a cytoplasmic pharmacist. No, sorry, bad joke. He's from the National Cancer Institute, Putrajaya, and currently pursuing his master's degree in analytical chemistry at University Putra, Malaysia. And I was just talking to him backstage, and he was telling me that he's also a trained lifeguard. But sorry, ladies, he's married. He's not ready to mingle, but he surely wants to tingle you with his signs. So without further ado, let's have Zarif Naim Muhammad Ashar.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. If I take a camera and picture everyone in this hall, I'll be able to see beautiful faces, handsome, tall, short, and all the physical attributes. But what if I take a special camera that is able to differentiate the bad guys from the good ones? In the branch of pharmacy, we produce radiopharmaceuticals for treating cancer. Radiopharmaceutical is a term combining radioactive and pharmaceutical. It is actually a drug, except that this drug is radioactive. So how does this radiopharmaceutical is used to treat cancer? Imagine that this is a pharmaceutical, which acts like a vehicle. It is chemically bound to radioactive material, which emits gamma radiation, forming a diagnostic radiopharmaceutical. It is then injected inside the body and travels towards the cancer cells. There, this gamma radiation penetrates through tissues and is detected using a gamma camera, forming an image. An image that is able to visualize, differentiate, and even locate tiny hidden cancer cells. Next, to destroy this cancer cell, a therapeutic radiopharmaceutical is produced by chemically binding the same pharmaceutical to radioactive material which emits beta particles. At a very short range, this beta particle will penetrate into the cancer cell, damaging it and also destroying it. This diagnostic and therapeutic radiopharmaceutical approach is termed as theranostic radiopharmaceutical. So what are the advantages of this theranostic radiopharmaceutical? With theranostic radiopharmaceutical, cancer treatment is personalized or tailored based on the patient's condition. Hence, it improves therapy outcome, predicts adverse effects, and also monitors therapy response. As a pharmacist, I'm committed in looking into different ways to treat cancer. My current research is in developing a radiopharmaceutical for bone cancer. And just like Thanos, hopefully one day, different type of cancer can be theranostically seeked and destroyed. Thank you.
And of course, we had to have one Avengers, right? It's an Avengers reference for the night. Judges?
Thank you very much. Can you talk a little bit more about that personalization? I'm just wondering how far advanced the field of your field is in knowing specifically what radiopharmaceuticals should be used for specific diagnoses.
Okay, good question. How far have it been gone for theranostic radiopharmaceutical? Let me give you an example. Theranostic radiopharmaceutical, theranostic itself is a term that was being famous in the past decade. But in radiopharmacy or nuclear medicine world, this theranostic concept was not realized since 1970s. They used iodine-131 to treat thyroid cancer. So this iodine-124 is used as a diagnostic tool, and then after that, they inject in or give the patient iodine-131 to kill the cancer cells. So basically, by having to know what is the absorbed dose for a particular cancer cell, is important for you to calculate what is the dose for the treatment dose. And currently, we have newer radiopharmaceuticals. By using this concept, we have a molecule and then we radio-label it with a radio tracer first. And then when we see where is the cancer or lesion, we can actually limit the dose so that it does not harm the patient. Let's say the organs that we have to protect, of course, is bone marrow and also kidneys. Those are the two most important. and let's say the patient, the cancer lesion is close to the vital organs, we can limit that as well. And from calculation, dosimetry calculation, we can actually give the personalized dose to the patient to treat them.
Thorough explanation from Zarif, our final contender of the night. Let's give it up again for our closing speaker. Thanks, Zarif. So now you've heard 12 great talks, and you may not know this, but in previous years we'd only had 10 finalists. So this year we had a pretty good batch to choose from. But even after 12, there can only be one to represent Malaysia. But you have a chance to actually decide on somebody that you like possibly winning another prize, which is the People's Choice Awards. So it's time to put the power into your hands, and you can vote for your favorite of the night. So how do you do this? You can go to www.menti.com. That's www.menti.com, and key in the code 736600. So think back, who did you like the best? Who gave the best joke? There you go, a refresher. The voting only opens for a short period, so do lock in your votes soon.
What are the codes? You will notice that the codes are here if you open your booklet.
Yes, that's
And,
right. If
all
you
the
open
codes
your
here.
booklet, you can see the codes for each of the contestants.
That's right. 44 for Sarah, 32 for Quay, 26 for Kelly, 43 for Look, 40 for Ida. Well, you can read the numbers, I suppose. Right? Anyway, while you contribute to our telecommunication, sort of profitability, I suppose, right? And while the judges are deliberating, Kai, I must say, I am so glad that when I took part in the competition, the competition wasn't that difficult. I had to compete only with
Evil
Zaid. No, I don't think I would have won. I mean, seriously, the level, the spotlight, greater,
The venue,
the
the crowd,
bigger,
this is
the crowd,
scary. Yeah,
very scary,
yeah.
indeed. But while we may brag about how famous we are, the reality is that in this room today, we have somebody who is a lot younger than us, right? I probably could be his dad. That's quite scary, right? And he's not only so talented, he's also about 32 million times more popular than I am. And he is the one and fabulous, and is so proud to be a Malaysian, because it's Yashwin Saravanan, the runners-up of Asia's Got Talent! Woo!
First of all, a very good evening to our VVIPs. Good evening. And good evening to our beloved audience here. How are you guys doing today? Very happy to hear that. I hope that all of you are doing well. I'm doing great. So, little bit of introduction. My name is Yashwin Saravanan. I'm 15 years old, and I am known as the Human Calculator. And I am the runner-up of Asia's Got Talent Season 3. It just finished, the latest season, so I am the runner-up. And I'm very grateful for getting the opportunity to perform here today at the FameLab National Final 2019. And actually, to be honest, I'm not a science person. I'm very sorry. But I am so thrilled to be here. So once again, thank you all so much for giving me the opportunity to perform. And so today, I'll start my performance today with some simple additions. So the calculator and the mic for the VVIPs. There.
Thank you.
Okay. So, sir, hi, sir. So,
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, sir. How are you, sir?
Actually, before we start, one question.
Yes.
I always wanted to know. I saw your performance and everything. I just want to know, in your mind, how do you see numbers? Do you see them as, images, or because, it's fantastic what you're able to do. But I just want to know how they are computed in your mind.
Well, I actually studied abacus and mental arithmetic. So abacus is the calculating tool, the ancient calculating tool. So I learned that. I started back when I was 7. So whenever a question is thrown at me, what happens is I actually visualize the beats of the abacus moving. So for example, the question 23 plus 59 or something like that. So actually what happens is there's the movement of the beats inside. But to be honest, it actually can be very tough to actually visualize the numbers, because some people think that actually calculating is the hard part, what I do. But actually, to be honest, the real tough part is visualizing the numbers itself. When someone throws me the question, it's actually quite tough to actually, imagine the numbers in front of me. But I really love what I do, so I'll definitely always try my best. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right, what do we start now?
Okay, sir, with the calculator, so sir, definitely you're verifying the answer. And so you are giving me the question. So we'll start with 2-digit additions. So you give the question, sir, 2-digit additions, for example, 59 plus 93 plus 72. And when I say the last number, sir, you give me the last number. And sir, you verify the answer and make sure I get it right or not. And of course, beloved audience here, you can actually use the calculator app in your phone to verify the answers along with the calculator. So we'll start with 2-digit additions. So whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay, let's start. 27.
27 plus.
35.
35 plus.
39.
39 plus.
54.
54 plus.
68.
68 plus.
79.
79 plus.
72.
72 plus.
29.
Okay, last number, sir.
84.
487. The answer is 487. Did I get it right or not? 487. Thank you very much. So like I said, it's simple addition. So I'll move on to the next one, which is 2-digit multiplied by 2 digits. So for instance, sir, 29 multiplied by 93. So whenever you're ready, sir.
All right. 35,
35.
multiplied by 44.
Okay, no, it's just that 2-digit by 2 digits. So 35 multiplied by?
44.
1540. Am I right? 1540. 1540. Thank you very much. We'll try another 2-digit multiplied by 2 digits, sir.
Okay. Anything?
63.
63 multiplied
by 84.
63 by 84. 5292. Am I right? 5292. Thank you very much. Okay, the next one is 3-digit divided by 1 digit. So for instance, 973 divided by 8. And you can use odd numbers, so I get the decimal numbers at the back. So whatever you answer. So 3-digit divided by 1 digit.
843.
843.
Divided by 7.
843 divided by 7. 120.42857142857. And it goes on. Thank you very much. Okay, the final one, the best one of all. This one is the real thrill seeker because it never fails to mesmerize. So, sir, give me a 2-digit number.
59.
Okay, sir, you have the calculator, right? So, put in 59 plus 59. So, you have 118 now, right? If you hit equals, do you have 177? 118. If you hit equal, the equal button. 177, right? You hit equal again, you have 236, right? Okay, so what's happening here is actually I'm adding 59 again and again by itself. So 59 plus 59 is 118. 118 plus 59 is 177. And then plus 59 is 236, 295, and so on. So, sir, you have the number 236 right now. You hit equal, you have 259. 295, sorry, 295. Okay, you know what? We'll try another different number, sir. We'll try a different number, a new one, sir. 2-digit number.
67.
67. Okay, sir. Input 67 plus 67 is 134. Hit equals it's 201, 268, 335, 402, 469, 536, 603, 670, 737, 804, 871, 938, 1005, 1072, 1139, 1206, 1270, 1340. I'm at 1340, 1407, 1474, 1541, 1608, 1675, 1742, 1819, 1876, 1943, 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. Sir, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Yes.
Amazing,
Thank you
amazing,
amazing.
amazing.
Thank you so much.
My mother just said she wanted to hug you. So You are the son she never got. All right, Yashwin.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's
Thank
give
you.
a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great future.
Thank you. Thank you so
Keep
much.
it up.
Thank
Keep
you.
it up.
Thank you
So proud of
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yeah. Brilliant. So I'm told that the judges are still deliberating. It's so tight. You could really cut the tension with a knife. So in the meantime, we would like to get some words of wisdom from two individuals here who I hope have learned a lot about clarity, content, and charisma. So we'll be putting you to test in the next 3 minutes or so. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. David Thomas, the Deputy High Commissioner of the British High Commission in Kuala Lumpur, to say a few words. David, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Can I just say, I think I had the most stressful job there, trying to put the numbers into the calculator, because I was worried I would put them in wrong, and then it would be different to him, and everyone would think it was him when it was me. So I got there in the end. So look, thank you very much for inviting me to say a few words. It's been great to be in the front row here watching all these guys, and they did a great job. I confess at the start that actually I wasn't that great at science when I was at school. And a few years later now, I find myself being a diplomat where you have to know a little bit about everything. And so it's really good when something like science is explained so clearly and simply. And I thought they all did that tonight. They did a fantastic job. I thought they were confident, clear, positive, enthusiastic, explaining some really stimulating subjects. So I don't feel qualified to give you any words of wisdom on science. But maybe as someone who receives communication on science, I would say for me, when I look back at my life and the things that have had the biggest impact, it's all about visual imagery, which we saw examples of tonight. Things that kind of pull on the heartstrings or pull on your mind and make you think. And the two best examples I can think of that on the sort of pulling of the mind is Inconvenient Truth. By Al Gore. I don't know if anyone has seen that. Maybe I'm aging myself here. But it was also the first movie I went to see at a movie house, which was a sort of science film, I guess. I'd always just gone to see blockbusters or entertainment. But I still remember Al Gore with all the graphs showing how the world was going to heat up and the melting icebergs. And the frog, he gave the example of the frog that if you stick a frog in a boiling jar, it would hop right out. But if you stick the frog in the same jar and slowly heat it up, well, that's mankind. That's what's happening to us right now on this planet. And that really stuck with me, all those images. And I know at the time it also influenced, Al Gore being a Democrat, it influenced the new Labour government we had in the UK. And a few years later, the UK went on to pass the first Climate Change Act, which regulated our greenhouse gas emissions. And I know that it influenced a hell of a lot of people. So for me, that visual imagery really affected my thinking. And secondly, on the heartstrings, Sarah mentioned David Attenborough. And I suspect a lot of you in the room have seen Blue Planet 2. And Blue Planet 2 was actually, I looked this up, was the most watched TV show in 2018, like in the whole world. That's amazing. It's had billions and billions of views. And there's one particular episode, for those of you who've seen it, which has got a turtle. It was a young turtle, but it got caught on some plastic, and then as it grew, it kind of became deformed because the plastic became kind of part of its body almost. And this was a really emotional and kind of striking moment in the episode. And it had a really catalytic kind of major effect on the British public, and I'm sure elsewhere, but in Britain in particular, where obviously David Attenborough is a sort of icon. And you started seeing restaurants and cafes banning plastic straws, which I know has taken off here as well and in many other countries around the world. But people were already, they were trying to stop using plastic bags in shops and generally reduce their use. And you'll see people segregating their waste in the UK and taking out plastic. But it had such a big effect. And again, with the government, during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting last year, they launched an initiative to help try and clean up plastics in our oceans. And so, again, when I take my kids out to a restaurant, they will actually say to the waiter when they've ordered a Coke or a drink, please don't bring a straw. It's kind of had that much of an effect on them when we were watching it together as a family. So for me, it's all about visual imagery. That would be my words of wisdom to science communicators, as I think it's really important that they kind of stimulate that people's thinking or affect their emotions, and then they really will understand it and they really will change. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Deputy Minister, as I've just got a few minutes, but thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for being a champion for science communication and science in general. Right, next we actually have our Wira Science today. Young Muhammad Datuk Wira, Dr. Muhammad Farid Muhammad Rafiq, the Deputy Minister from the Prime Minister's Department, who's been a fantastic attendee today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Two fantastic MCs that we have today, very wonderful. I think previous winners from our competitions. First of all, thank you very much to David, Deputy High Commissioner from the British High Commission KL, my colleague Tan Sri, Dr. Insinyur Ahmad Tajuddin, Forever Young, Joint Chairman of MITE, Ms. Sarah Deverell, Director of British Council Malaysia, and then Datuk Muhammad Yusof, Professor Dr. Rahan, and all the audience that we have tonight. First of all, for MITE and British Council of Malaysia, I would like to congratulate. I think this is the 5th year running that we have this FameLab competition. And inshallah today, I think you will be able to choose a winner as contestant, as worker for Malaysia for the next competition in London. I think it's Cheltenham, Okay, in Cheltenham. So frankly, what I've seen today, fantastic competitions. And all the talents that we see, from various fields, actually jogs back memories for myself as well. I was a medical doctor not too long ago. And this is actually very important when, being somebody from a scientific background, especially, professor will know and everything, sometimes there are things, a lot of things that are going on in our mind. A lot of things probably sometimes you guys know, but not everyone can understand, for one thing. And I was an anesthetist for many, many years before I became a politician. And one thing that I find, especially when communicating with the patient, there are two lives, Sarah, with anesthetists. One thing that you're dealing with the most, the sickest patient in the hospital sometimes, especially in the intensive care unit. So you have to communicate very clearly, very well, empathize with the family and everything. So this is actually the part where, to bring down that level of communication to something that can be understood, something that can be accepted, even though you're trying to explain something very, very difficult that probably, a lot of thought process going on that the family cannot understand. So that, where communication really become very important. On the other part of it, probably to balance out my life as an anesthetist, I put patient, I get them off to sleep. So if they talk too much, I will just simply give a bit more medicine so they can sleep a bit longer. But that's, probably just to balance things out. But anyway, from what I can see tonight, basically all the contestants that we have with fantastic talents. And as the government in Malaysia, we always give a very good emphasis in science, technology, engineering, and also maths. And we always actually, with competition like FameLab that we have tonight, I think we give the opportunity for these people to actually shine through, to make sure that, in Malaysia, that, all this actually will always be given importance. So I hope that, the collaboration between MITE and the British Council will continue. And for whoever is going to represent Malaysia tonight, I'm sure they're going to have a good time in Cheltenham. And this is a very good time of the year. It's coming up to spring, and it'll be a bit warmer. And I think they will have a good time. And I hope that, we will. And there will be a big, actually, what am I going to say? No challenge, but, we had two winners in the past. 2015 and 2016 and 2018. So hopefully this year, whoever we're going to send to London, to Cheltenham, again, we'll bring back, the first prize for Malaysia. So thank you again. Thank you again for having me here, and for MITE and for British Council. Congratulations for organizing a wonderful event tonight. Then hopefully, there will be more to come in the future. Thank you very much.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, YB. Thank you very much. All right, so we have got some more time because the judges are really, literally fighting behind there. all right, and I'm told that Kamaru Bahrain has been bruised. So while waiting, all right, I also feel really important that we hear from a real national icon and an academic leader, you know, just the immediate past president of the Academy of Sciences and now leading MITE in his direction. Can we just have a few words of wisdom? Don't worry, I'm not going to sit on you. All right, so Tan Sri, can we just have a few words of wisdom to compliment?
I don't know why, Abby, you pick up you pick on me. I purposely this evening, I was supposed to speak earlier, but I say, let Dr. Yusuf do the job. Now he has come to me. Yeah, but filling up the time while waiting for the judges to make up their mind and to choose that representative from Malaysia. They think what to say. Maybe I follow through what Yang Muhammad has mentioned just now, and in fact David also about was it pictorial
visualization
memory?
and yeah.
Visual imagery. Yeah, the same thing with me. I have had occasions where I had to appear on television and talking about something sometimes quite complicated, such as nuclear technology and so on. In my mind always, you must bring down even your dignity, as it were, not to try to show off how clever you are, because that's not important. The important is the person listening to you understand what you're talking about. So, to bring down your way of talking to such that those people who know nothing will want to listen to what you're saying. Never mind those people who already know what you're talking about, switch off and go and do other things, never mind, because they already know what you're talking about. The idea is for you to get to those people that do not know yet what you're talking about and want to listen to you. So my visual imagery is that I want my auntie, who knows nothing about nuclear science, will want to listen to what I'm saying and try to understand, and to bring down that level of communication to a point that the average layman can understand, whether you're talking about cancer cells or you're talking about photovoltaic cells. Where is he?
There at the back. Yeah.
And whatever the subject is, to bring it down to the level such that those who has no knowledge whatsoever what you're talking about still can understand and can comprehend what you're talking about. I think that's the key to communication. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tan Sri. Absolutely right. I think one of the things that, you know, when I got trained is that we always think about what we want to say, but the reality, you know, it's not about even coming down, but actually saying things what people want to hear. It's about making science relevant, and, you know, that's why I think FameLab is a brilliant, you know, platform. So while we talk about science communication, but in this midst, in this place today, we also have, you know, an individual who really, I mean, you know, I cannot understate how important it is, especially if you are in the universities. This individual has fought so much every day, you know, to try and ensure that research in our university is sustained. And we have today, you know, really the engine of all our grants. We won't have fundamental research if it wasn't for people like Prof. Raha, Dr. Asma, and the whole team at the Ministry of Education to actually fight for that. And can we maybe just hear a little bit about today, you know, isn't it great what we heard today? Could you maybe share with us, you know, what are your aspirations, right, as we now move on to our 12th Malaysian plan? And as a policy maker and also amazing scientist, you know, what do you think the young scientists and the young individuals here today should really think about so that science stays relevant? Prof. Raha.
Well, Abi, you put me in a spot. Actually, I'm supposed to not say anything at all today. I'm, you know, this is the first time that I've been to this FameLab, and I'm so amazed. It's really awesome. I think it's you know, I wish I'm young enough to participate, but I'm old, and it's this. To me, it's I think to all of us, most of us, it is very, very important that you actually relay your thoughts clearly. To do research, it is always not easy to do research, to get your results, but the most difficult thing to me would be perhaps is to communicate what you have achieved. Okay, so keep up the good work. Very proud of all of you. The judges are back. I'm safe by the bell.
You can still continue.
So thank you so much, Abi.
Thank you so much, Prof. Raha. Seriously, it's people like you at the interface between science, empowering science, enabling science. So also congratulations to you. Thank you.
Thanks
All
again
right.
to all our impromptu words of wisdom dispensers. But we do have our judges back now. And in that, I'd like to first call up, I would like to invite Dr. Yusof, the CEO of MITE, as well as Ms. Sarah Devrol, the Director of Malaysia, British Council Malaysia, up to the stage. So just as a token of appreciation to our judges, because what is FameLab without the judges who always push the boundaries in how we think about science that's been presented? First up, can I please invite Professor Deborah Hall. Dr. Zaid Omar. Dr. Liz Alexander. Our favorite anchor, Mr. Kamarul Bahrain. Woo! 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 Professor Jalil Ali. And of course, my personal favorite judge, Professor Abi Virakumarasivam.
Just to clarify, we judged the heat.
Yeah.
Not today's finals. I wasn't judging today.
These are all
Thank
the
you.
judges that have been with FameLab for
Thank you
2019.
so much. Thank you.
Working cycle.
And reusing, huh?
And isn't it great that we have a very multi-purpose judge who is also an MC, and now he will be calling up the next round?
Indeed. So exciting. But while I'm sure all of you are waiting who the winner is, all right, we would like to invite our VIPs on stage. Can I please invite Prof. Raha, Tan Sri Tajuddin, sirs, our two dignitaries, please come in. Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, I really cannot emphasize, winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. Just joking. No, I think we can really say that everyone today, are winners, even us, because we've actually learned something from this. So without further ado, can I actually have the participants to actually please come up on stage, right? So I would like to call the participants. First of all, Nur Sarah Adha Adam. Louder, let's get loud! Woo! Hui Jingwei! Woo! Participants stay on stage. Kalisa Liana Zulkifli! Woo! Lok Yi Len! Woo! Oh! Aida Rashida Azman. Woo! Kushila Nair, Seguran Nair. Woo! Muhammad Hasrin Abdul Rashid. Woo! Yap Jolene. Woo! Tanusha Ganesan, AG Orthopedic. Woo! One Abdul Martin, one Abdul Rahim Kamil. Woo! Noor Farah Muhammad Fauzi. Woo! And finally, but not certainly, definitely not the least, and the fittest life instructor, and no, not life instructor. What are you? You're lifeguard. That's right. Zarif Naim Muhammad Ashar. Woo! All right, and now for the moment we have been waiting for. First of all, as you noticed, we had an audience choice. So this is for the most popular performance today, voted by you and only you. And the winner is... Can we have the drum roll, please? Yeah. From Asia Pacific University, Norsara Adam. Woo! NFC, NFC, NFC. Woo! APU. Woo! Excellent. In fact, APU won again. I'm not sure, whether we normalized by the number of participants here.
That's
but
a good point.
Go APU. All right, now that we know the most popular award, let's go for the least popular category. Second runner-up, also called the third place, and will represent Malaysia if the first and second mysteriously suffer from certain diseases, is from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Noor Farah Muhammad Fauzi. Woo! Congratulations, Farah.
Congratulations.
Our second runner-up is from
University Science Malaysia, Penang, Jolene.
Woo!
Well done.
Go Penang! Fabulous. Our eco-warrior, fantastic ambassador. Thank you. And now, final. I think I'm going to allow my beautiful and the second winner. Oh, we do it together?
We're friends now, right?
We're friends now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. The champion of Malaysia's FameLab 2019 is...
going to the Cheltenham final in June.
And might win the World Championship of FameLab is Muhammad Hasrin Abdul Rashid. Woo!
Super Dad.
Can we please have the VIPs along, as well as all the other participants to come in front, and let's huddle. All right. You did amazing. I'm just so excited that I'm part of this scientific ecosystem. So thank you so much. Let's come together. Kai, join them.
Closer, closer. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
You stand.
Can we also invite the judges on stage, please? Zaid, Chicken, Liz, Jaiba, please. Great job. Thank you so much. I can, of course. Please join in. Congratulations. All right. Let's take a quick photograph. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for staying here. I know it's late.
Have a wonderful
amazing,
evening.
amazing job. Kai, last words.
Drive safe. Come back next year.
Celebrate science. Take part
Apologies
next
for
year.
my voice.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Woo! Thank you so much. Thanks very much.
Good choice.
Thank you.
Wow.
I sent you that email.